The championship for alma maters. It's extra special, isn't it? All SEC defensive back. Making plays. He had 13 career picks in the late 90s. Absolutely. He was a great player, great safety. Had a cup of coffee here with the Colts at training camp. But he joined Church and Auburn. Of course, Paul Bryant won 6 titles at his alma mater. Steve Spurrier got it done. A couple of years after that, Bill Fuller. And now it's been a while, for 23 seasons. See that. I'm so happy for Kirby and this Georgia fan base. They're so passionate, so loyal to their team. They've been waiting 41 years to be able to walk up on that podium and hold that trophy up and win the national title. Always linked to Saban, learned so much from him, and finally overcomes him to win the national championship. And Georgia's been full of belief for a long time that this is possible. I mean, the state produces as much talent as anybody. You go back to the last NFL draft, more natives of Georgia than just about any state out there. Yeah, he's done a great job recruiting, great job developing and building a culture. These guys, in the world that we live in, with name, image, and likeness, and transfer portal, this team laser focus on one thing: avenging that loss in Atlanta and winning a championship and getting on that podium. That's it. And that's what you really have to appreciate. And a lot of that comes from the leadership from your seniors and your juniors, the guys that have been around. They're fortunate to have a lot of those kind of players, but there is a culture here that's unique. Alabama has a very similar culture. It's not by accident these two teams ended up playing tonight for the championship. Early in the season, you had to sit down. Connection. They talked about connection. Connect beyond the obvious talent, the 4s and 5 stars out there, the intangibles, things like that, the love they have for each other. It goes a long way. It all came to bear tonight when they were behind in the fourth quarter. What you just said is so.
Thank you for calling Collins Studios host and call screener line. Please enter your show or meeting number.
Started a show session in Collins Studio and cannot yet receive calls on Mark Rogers' voice of college football. Please visit the Collins Studio website and begin your session. Music will play until your session begins, or you may call back when you are ready.
Postgame reaction. Kirby Smart will join the show. Of course, look at the odds for next season. I'm guessing that both of these teams will figure probably ahead. Face the Dogs are going to land the victory Seahawks tonight once they unwrap the trophy. He handed out. Please take us on the podium.
Oh my goodness, everyone. That was fun. That was fun. That was a capper to the college football season. What do you think, everyone? That was amazing. Loved that game. And I am so incredibly happy for the outcome. I am happy for Georgia. Once I saw it take place, so I was very neutral, just kind of there, just starting to watch the game, wanting to see good athleticism, good football, as I always do. Taking this in as, okay, this is our last football game, so I really want to take it in. And I got to tell you, early on in the game, I was fighting not falling asleep. Not that these guys weren't given everything they had from the opening whistle, but as Georgia fought adversity in the second half, and Alabama, of course, did too from an injury standpoint, man, this became so incredibly intriguing as we see Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs on the platform celebrating the national championship and receiving the trophy from Reese Davis. Wow, this is just a great sports story. So the more the fourth quarter unfolded, and even before that, I started to really get wrapped up in, I got to say, kind of rooting for Georgia. Alabama's won it so many times. just rooting for Georgia and thinking about people that I know that root for Georgia football, thinking about just a lot of people. Look at them on the TV screen right now. A lot of people that live and die with this football team, and it's only football, but they live and die. They breathe it. They have to hear a bunch of crap. And when you see Stetson Bennett at the end of this game, when you see Stetson Bennett, and just, I don't know that there's been a player who has put up with as much crap as Stetson Bennett. And to see him pull through, this is the pinnacle of sports right here. This is we talk a lot of strategy and a lot of nuts and bolts and talent and recruiting and evaluations of all that. And of course, these two teams are the two most talented teams in college football. So that's the number one reason why they're here. Let's not mistake that. Hard work out the window. Yes, it begins with talent. You have to have superior talent. But when you see a Stetson Bennett and all that he's endured, and you see him able to fight through that turnover that could have been called an incomplete pass, that type of adversity, and he's had to face that over and over and over and to come right back down the field and make some amazing throws. We're going to break down the game, and we're going to take your calls in just a second, but right now, it's just about the sheer joy and emotion and the jubilation. So my congratulations to anybody out there who roots for Georgia football. Man, we'll go through the live chat, and we'll certainly pick up on anybody who loves Georgia football, who's rooting for the Dogs, and who is just beside themselves right now. This is amazing to see. And just as a college football fan, it was an amazing game. Certainly wasn't a 33-18 game. Of course, the pick six put the icing on the cake. But just an amazing game between two tremendous teams. And Alabama fought the adversity of losing John Mechie before the game. And then losing, of course, Jamison Williams, their number one playmaker who can take the top off of defense. That was big. But man, it took a while to get churning, but this game really ramped up and became a classic. And to see Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, considering their relationship and their working together in the past, to see them in midfield at the end of the game. And I think Nick Saban, he is the ultimate competitor. He wants to win every national championship. He wants to win every game. I'm sure he is hurting, especially for his players. He's got so many national championship rings. He's had to move on to the other hand. But he still wants to win another one for himself. I'm sure he wanted to win this game so badly tonight, but especially for his team. I'm sure he's hurting for them right now. But I think in that moment at midfield with Kirby Smart, he was genuinely, when does Nick Saban crack that much of a smile? When he wins a national championship, as opposed to losing a national championship game. He looked genuinely happy, overjoyed for Kirby Smart. And I'm sure he was at the same time. Again, it was just killing him to lose. But if he was going to lose to anybody, Kirby Smart. I'm going to take as many comments and questions as we can get to. I have already fired up the phone lines. We can get to those. I have fired up the phone lines, but I need to do some things in the call-in system to make it available. So we'll do that at the same time, because I just certainly, if you guys are ready to roll and ready to talk, we want to get to your comments and questions and everything. And as usual, I have taken my pages of notes, and I have all sorts of stuff that I would want to say. But as soon as you guys start firing off the questions in the comments, I'm all yours, and I'll probably never get to the analysis. Maybe we'll shoot a separate video tomorrow. Hang on just a second. We will fire up the earpiece in the call-in system, and we will get right to you in just a second. Enjoy yourselves in the live chat. For you Alabama fans, I do not in any way discount. I'm sure there are Alabama fans who are in pain and are frustrated and disappointed and mad. And you have, I'm not going to say you don't have a right to be, because you've won so many national championships. I'm not going to tell you that. because you lost this one. And especially for the players who have not won a national championship on the Alabama team. Bryce Young, for example, technically has a national championship. He won a national championship last year, but he was not the starting quarterback. He's going to take this hard. So I don't want to discount Alabama's pain, relatively speaking, but we know the deal. And I'm sure a lot of Alabama fans are about as okay with this loss as you possibly can be under the circumstances in a national championship game. You can probably tell that I am breathing slightly hard here. I did hustle to set all this up, but it has more to do with just taking in a tremendous game. I got to tell you that as we got into the second half, and even before all the scoring took place, it was just more the intensity of the game, the hitting, and the score. Even if it would have stayed 9-6, now it was nice to get some game-changing type plays and to get some offense and to get to those kind of plays. That was nice to see. But hey, it was an awesome game from start to finish, and it was kind of cool how it revved up in the second half. As we kept going, it revved up. Our number here is 860-499-3332. I will place it on the bottom ticker. We would ask that you would subscribe here at the Voice of College Football. (860-499-3332). Otherwise, I'm going to dive into the comments, but I believe we've got calls on the line. Give me just 1 second here so I can hear you. Let's take our first call. Let's get going. Georgia wins the national championship. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's in the line?
Hey, Mark, it's the real MVP. How you doing this evening?
The real MVP. I'm doing just fine. What's going on? How are you?
Well, first off, we got to congratulate Georgia. I mean, anytime you win the national championship, regardless of the path you took, all props go to Georgia, man. I'm so happy for their fans, especially Uncle Lou, who's been on this platform for 7 years, having to take all the heat. Can we get some 2021s in the chat for Georgia?
Yeah. If Alabama would have won this game, we would be sitting here and we'd analyze the game and talk about the game and what went right and what went wrong if Alabama had won the game. But what's the story? What would the story be? Alabama wins again. Nick Saban's the greatest of all time. This was just fun to watch. As the game went on, I became more and more revved up and excited and pumped up and just flat out happy to see Georgia win. When the game started, I really didn't care who won. I could care less. I was just watching the game, just watching a football game. But as it rolled along, I became more and more attached to Georgia.
Yeah. I was rooting I thought Alabama was going to win just because I'm not picking against Nick Saban twice. I learned my lesson the first time, but I was rooting for Georgia. Well, let's talk about the actual game. So, Mark, the most obvious question is, Jameson Williams gets hurt. How much did that impact the game?
Oh, I think it was enormous. We saw two plays in particular, both involved 84. His name escapes me right this second. Anyway, he dropped a pass down near the goal line, about the 5-yard line. That was key. And he could have come up with a pass that I thought was just about perfectly thrown from Bryce Young. It was the play. It was the play before the interception. The play before the interception, Bryce Young threw a perfect pass. And no, that was Ja'Cory Brooks. It was another wide receiver. Ja'Cory Brooks dropped that one. So Jameson Williams' injury was huge.
Well, and then if I showed you before the game, I'm going to say quarterback A stat line, quarterback B stat line. You would think, man, Stetson Bennett blew it again with 2 interceptions. But no, it was Bryce Young who had 2. Like, what happened on those interceptions? Because there wasn't really anybody within the area to get the ball either time. There was like a Georgia double team both times. So what happened, Mark?
Well, I'd have to watch the play again to tell you exactly what happened. Well, the second play, the pick six that iced the game, you could see that he was looking for possibly a back shoulder throw, the wide receiver, and I don't remember who that was. I'm actually watching it right. No, I'm not. That's a different play. And so, yeah, I'm not here to necessarily break down the plays just because I would have to see them again to break down what he could have possibly seen. But I do remember on that particular play, I think he was reading a back shoulder throw and he didn't get it from the receiver.
Now, what from Georgia's aspect, what do you think they did different from the first game that really changed it, the result? If you had to say one thing, this is what they changed and this is why they won, what would be that one thing?
Well, the one huge aspect on defense, we're looking at a team that gave up 41 points to Alabama and they gave up 18 tonight. And really, the last touchdown was a bit of a gift for the Alabama offense. So they basically gave up 4 field goals. They didn't give up a touchdown drive to Alabama the entire game. So the Georgia defense that I could go through my comment section from the last month of videos and point out all the people that said that the Georgia defense was a joke and that they were overrated and see what happened to their defense. And that was all a mirage against a bad schedule that I argued with over and over and over with. See, this is the Georgia defense. They gave up 4 freaking field goals and a 15-yard touchdown drive that probably shouldn't have happened. That's all they gave up. They put pressure on Bryce Young. That's the amount of pressure that they put on Bryce Young in this game versus him sitting back, basically, counting to 7 in the pocket in the SEC championship game. That was by far the biggest difference in the game.
And would it be fair to say now that all the games are over, that Georgia's defense is the greatest defense in modern college football?
When did modern college football start?
Well, after it went to offensive heavy plays, what I'm talking about, because you had 2011 where it was all defense, but now
you're talking about
gone to a complete off.
See, that's why I ask questions like this. Because if you looked up modern college football, some people would say that's post-World War II. Some people would say the 20th century on. We're talking all sorts of time frames. You're only talking about like 7 or 8 years. Modern college football. Okay. Yes, it's definitely the best defense in the last 10 years. Absolutely.
And what does Bryce Young or what does Alabama's offensive line need to do in the offseason to win the national championship game next year? Stay
healthy. I don't know that they need to do anything. They don't need to do anything but continue to work and improve. I think that what Kirk Herbstreit pointed out a number of times was very obvious that, and this is not making an excuse for Alabama, they lost fair and square, but there is a difference between Bryce Young with John Mechie and Jamison Williams versus their backups and not getting the same number of reps with the backups. Hello? Did we lose him? All right, we will continue on here at the Voice of College Football. I believe we lost the real MVP. We'll move on to our next call here at the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hi there, Marine 76 or David. I was actually, maybe this is the wrong time to discuss it, and that was a great game, but I'm actually wondering, I actually feel as though, I should say, that the Pac-12 has been just demolished in the sense that they're not a national brand anymore because they're unable to get a team into that playoff consistent. Well, I guess Oregon is like I guess that would count. But I feel like the Pac-12 brand, why would I, if I grew up on the West Coast, I don't have the opportunities that I would have if I were to go to the SEC school. And that has attrited the play in the Pac-12 to such an extent that it's hardly the brand it was in the 90s. It feels as though, and now this is, antisocial to the South, I think, to an extent. But I think that the group of five has to have their conference champion in that new 12-seeded playoff, or every conference champion from every conference plus maybe Notre Dame, and then probably on the bubble SEC school. So what you have there is the 10 conference champs and then the 2, because they have to admit that they're not going to get there, and then they can start recruiting people again, and then they're going to have a better brand on the field, or they're just going to get left behind.
Yeah, I'm not going to address the Pac-12 issues minutes after the national championship game that did not involve the Pac-12, because we've got all off season.
That's understandable, sir.
Yeah, we've got all off season to address that. But much of what you said is right on the mark, and things that we've talked about countless times. Yes, it's a vicious cycle.
I see.
It's a vicious cycle. If you are perceived to be down and you make poor choices, and they were led by poor leadership, meaning Larry Scott, he was the worst commissioner in college football, then they fell behind. And then once you fall behind, it's difficult to catch up, because you have players, and we had several just this past weekend, top players in California decide to go to Big Ten and SEC schools. So yes, that's
right.
Something that we'll have to pick up, and we'll have 7 months to discuss how to fix the Pac-12. Anything else?
I see. I don't have. Oh, sorry, sir.
Oh, that's all right. Just wanted to know if you had anything else.
Oh, I was actually going to say that I don't have anything else, and I don't want to clog your line, sir. So I really appreciate the time, and
No,
have a good night.
The call. Thank you so much. Call back.
All right. Yes, sir. Bye now.
All right. Back to the phone line. So thank you for calling in to the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Well, I'm just happy that Uncle Lou's not going to drink another Diet Coke or Coke from 1980.
He must be ecstatic.
He's going ballistic. I was on his live stream and talk about a guy that's not ready to party. It's Uncle Lou right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised he was able to do a live stream after the game.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of talking right now. He's having a good old time.
I bet he's having a great time.
Mark, you probably remember that team in 1980. What was that? Bud Ballou, Herschel Walker,
Terry
Lindsey
Hogue.
Scott. Yeah. They beat Notre Dame, and I think was Dan Devine's last game down in the Sugar Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, because Jerry Faust took over in 81. So, yes, they did.
Right.
I remember it well. I shouldn't say I remember the game well. I watched every play of it. And I think Terry Hogue was such a good defensive back. I think he got like a top 5 to 6 Heisman consideration. And, of course, Herschel Walker was the star.
Right. Well, the next 2 years they were in the Sugar Bowl, they ran into the state of Pennsylvania. Dan Marino threw an absolute dime to beat him in 81. And then, Air Paterno beat him in 82 with Black legend Kurt Warner.
Yep. Yeah, two really good games. Yep.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Georgia. They deserved it. I thought that coming in, I thought that there was a case that they could have had the better roster. Obviously, you look at recruiting rankings, they've recruited, I believe, more 5-stars than anybody else in the country, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think we're second at Ohio State on overall 5-stars on rosters, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that the difference in rosters, if you want to call it that, is so inconsequential. I would just say that these are the 2 best teams in the country. Right. And 2 of the 3 most talented. I think it's pretty obvious to see that. And to see that and also match it up with the statistics.
Well, one thing I'm going to throw out there, Mark, we always talk about quarterback play. Football is more quarterback driven now than it ever has been. It's interesting, the last 5 national championship quarterbacks, you stop to think about it: Deshaun Watson, Tua. 18 was Trevor Lawrence. 19 Joe Burrow. Last year, Mac Jones. Obviously, Watson's going through a situation, but all pretty much starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know. Is it a stretch to say that Stetson Bennett probably won't be a starting quarterback in the NFL?
I can't see it, but who am I to sit here and count him out?
True. Hey, he made the big plays in the fourth quarter. I mean, Georgia's defense kept them in that game, and as an Ohio State fan, we remember losing a big-time wide receiver in a national championship game, right, Mark?
Yes. Yeah, who am I missing here?
So, well, I was going to say Ted Ginn in 06.
Oh, Ted Ginn. Yeah, sure.
I mean, not to say I think that would have made a difference, but I think Ginn was a big part of that offense that year. It was a huge loss. But, I mean, I don't think Alabama fans should make any excuses. Even though Jameson Williams was big for them this year, it would have been interesting to see, had he not gotten hurt, just kind of what effect that would have had. Because I wonder, obviously you utilize your best receivers, but, I mean, Georgia was the better team, and their defense was incredible, by the way, and gave their offense a chance in that fourth quarter. I don't know what's your overall thoughts on.
Well, I think we tackle these kind of topics all the time, and that's one of the reasons why we're here. So, if an Alabama fan wants to call and just talk and speculate about if they would have had Jameson Williams, if they would have had John Mechie, I think that's valid. We can go through the annals of time and talk about any championship scenario and injuries that occurred during the game or before the game. And of course, this whole Nick Saban era was started with Colt McCoy, who was one of the best quarterbacks in the country, getting hurt very early in the game. So Texas fans will raise that just so it's done with a level of class and respect to say, hey, it's part of the game. We didn't play with those guys. We had to play with the guys that we have. That's also part of a championship team as well. Being able to sustain the injuries and the next guy to step up and bring it home. So I think it's a balanced conversation to have.
Right, and I doubt Alabama fans, if a key Georgia player got hurt and Georgia brought that up, they would, I wonder if they would let them use that against them. So, you're right. You got to be fair about this both ways. But yeah, Georgia deserved that. Defense was incredible. I thought in that fourth quarter, though, I really was wondering after Bennett had that turnover in the fourth quarter if, that was going to be curtains for them. But, he had a few huge throws. Was wondering if his receivers were going to finally get open and make some plays, and it looks like they finally did in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, they really did. They really did. And I, like you, thought I thought that it was very unfortunate, and I'm not saying that they made the wrong call on the replay because technically the ball left his hand before it was forward, before he brought the arm forward. But I just felt that to be unfortunate that, especially comparing that play to the Bryce Young play, they're very similar plays. Bryce Young was not throwing a football. He was basically spiking a football on the ground. But because of the rules, he gets away with that. And Stetson Bennett doesn't get away with what, was he trying to get rid of the football as well to avoid a sack? Yeah, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to do the same thing Bryce Young. And I understand it's more than just intent. It's also, what's the motion of the body? And at one point, you have to make a delineation between fumble and pass thrown, and the rules need to be clear, and so the interpretation of the rules were clear and they were correct, but just to see those two plays go in opposite directions, I felt bad for Georgia at the time because it just seemed to be again another time in which they wouldn't quite get the breaks.
Yeah, it was amazing the way the guy was able to still recover that before getting out of bounds.
Yes.
He's kind of fortunate, I think, that way too, wasn't he, Mark?
Yeah, I don't know if he was trying to do that or not. It didn't look like he was. It looked like he was just picking up the football, but it turned out, at least in the moment.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting going forward how these teams. I think these teams will obviously be ranked very high going into next year. Going forward, I think my Buckeyes will be ranked pretty high, of course, but we'll see. Have to see who leaves to go to the NFL and all of that going forward. But congrats to Georgia. You took down the Death Star. It took you some tries, but you finally did it. And a good friend of mine is a diehard Georgia fan, and I gave him a shout out tonight for their victory. So it was a big win, and Uncle Lou's going to party like it's 1980, right, Mark?
There you go. All right, David. Thank you so much for it. I appreciate
All right,
it.
Mark.
Have a good night.
You take care of yourself. Yep. Bye bye.
Yeah. So I sent out a tweet near the end of the game as the seconds were ticking off. And I would like to get to as many people in the live chat who are Georgia fans as possible, like our guy B-Dogs47 right here. Go Dogs. Congratulations, B-Dogs47. I don't know if you've been a Georgia fan for 2 years or 20 years or 200 years, whatever it is. Congratulations. This is why we love college football. This is why it means so much to us. Your team finally did it. Remember this night. I remember a night in 2003 when my team finally did it after so many disappointments, and there is nothing like it. So embrace it, enjoy it. I'm sure you are. I can see from all the exclamation marks that you are. So yes, embrace it. If I don't get to all the Georgia fans in the live chat, I am just flat out saying congratulations. I sent out a tweet and I sent it to our guy, Tyler Piles, to Savannah Lee Richardson from Dawn of the Dog, who joins us to talk Georgia football, to Palmer Toms, who used to be on 247 Sports. I don't know where he is now. He used to come on all the time, talk Georgia football with us on a regular basis. Who else did I send that to? What other Georgia people do I know? Tyler, Savannah, Palmer. There were a couple more. Big Dog Brett, who's joined us a few times here. We sent it out to him and Uncle Lou. And just want to congratulate again. Regardless of who you root for, I can only speak for myself. I got caught up in it. I thought it was just a tremendous sports story to see Kirby Smart get it done for this program. He has worked his ass off. He has worked his tail off to build this program. And he makes $8 million a year to take a lot of heat and a lot of pressure, but most of it was unwarranted. Hey, if they would have lost tonight, if they would have not made the national championship game, I would be saying the same thing because I've said it for the last 3 or 4 years in his defense. He's built a tremendous program, and yes, he is being paid to finally win a national championship, and he got it done. But he had made all the right moves to get there over and over and over to get to the brink. So congratulations to him. And again, all the Georgia football fans and this Stetson Bennett, I tell you, I'm going to say it one more time. We only had maybe 20 people on the line. It was in the first minute or so. I probably should repeat that really quick because that was probably the best 30 seconds or so of what I had to say tonight, because great football game. Epic meeting at the end of the game between Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. I think that Nick Saban was genuinely excited and happy. He hates to lose. Yes, he's the ultimate competitor, and I'm sure that he's hurting for his players, but you could see it on his face. He had a bigger grin on his face at midfield congratulating Kirby Smart than he does when he wins the national championship. I thought that was really cool, because I know he's thinking, damn, we lost inside. He's like, pissed off. Lost a national championship. But the other side of Nick Saban is like, that's my guy. He finally won it. So if I had to lose it, I lost it to him. It's cool. And he was happy. And he was, I'm sure, happy in a sense. I don't even know how to explain it. When That's got to be a strange feeling. I can't put myself in that place where Nick Saban would have been. And you see this from time to time in sports where you've got to, they have to be at the level of competitor that they are pissed off that they just lost. They work too hard and they love their team and love their kids too much to not be pissed off about the loss. But at the same time, they've worked with this guy. They've mentored him. They've seen him grow and build a program. So they're charged up and happy for the other guy. It's got to be a strange feeling. Maybe it's like sending your kids off to college or something. So that I have experienced, or knowing that your kids are graduating from college and watching them walk down the aisle and go across the stage to think, oh man, my baby's growing up, but I am so proud of them. That's what I can compare it to. All right. So all the Georgia fans in the live chat, I'm probably not going to be able to catch up with you. There's Eric Schneider. Congratulations, Eric. You must be a Georgia fan. So let's take our next call. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark. It's Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, Mark. Hey, just to say, just excited after great cap to what has been a pretty cool and interesting season this year. Certainly excited to see just someone new as a national champion, someone who hasn't been there in a while. I know Georgia's not like an underdog program by any stretch of the imagination, but it is some fresh blood, at the top of the heap right here. So, I mean, I didn't have any rooting interest in the game, but I think in the end, like the rightful team, the deserving team won. I really hated to see the Jamison Williams injury early in the game, but we never know. It's part of the game. So, and I was just wondering, like, do you feel like this victory for Georgia might create a little bit of a market shift, a little bit of a change in the approach to in the zeitgeist of how to build a team? Because this Georgia team doesn't look anything like most of the teams that have won national championships recently. They're very heavy, and like they like to line up in the I formation and 21, 22 personnel and just sort of run it right at you. They work the play action. They've got defensive linemen and they're like true nose tackles. The defensive line goes like 270 to like 350 all the way across. And as the game's become just sort of more of a perimeter game, a lot about speed and space. Do you think this, Georgia's showing you can get it done this way? You can actually get to the top of the mountain playing this brand of football in 2021. Do you think that will, maybe, change the way some of the upper tier programs approach building their teams?
Well, I don't know if it's going to change anybody else, but I think it proves basically the same thing that Michigan proved this year. So they proved the same thing. Georgia just has more talent. And so they proved it on the national stage as opposed to Michigan just proving it in the Big Ten. Is that what Michigan did this year that impressed me? And I know we're talking Georgia, but I liken it to Michigan in that, and we knew this when they faced each other, that we were going to see carbon copies of each other facing off. Just again, Georgia's more talented. Is that Michigan was able to maintain its identity. And so I see the same thing out of Georgia, able to maintain a tough bully mentality. I say that in a positive way for anybody that's a little sensitive out there. Bully mentality on offense with offensive linemen that want to fire off the ball and push people around and dominate, with a run game, with run first mentality, using tight ends in blocking schemes, shoot for Michigan, using a quasi fullback at times, but being able to have a core identity in what they believe and what they do well, but also being able to adjust and also add and complement that with updated formations and concepts to be able to quickly go to 4 and 5 wide spread formation and use all the concepts that everybody else is. So to be good at both.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think they might, in some ways, I think you have an advantage a little bit being a little bit different because, if everybody else is recruiting kind of the same types of athletes and the same types of players, that pool gets pretty thin pretty quickly, right? Everyone's after the quick slot receivers who can, nowadays who can run 4-4. They're all after the dancing bear, offensive tackles who, might not be the most physical, but if you're, one of 2 or 3 countries in the program committed to like actually playing this brand of football, there's not as many people competing for those resources. Like I said, I don't know how many people, I don't know what Jordan Davis's recruiting profile was like, but I imagine there were quite a few big programs that said, nah, we don't really need anybody like that.
He was only a 3-star. I know that.
Well, he was a 3-star, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, and in 1998, he might have been a 5-star. That kind of guy. I don't know. But yeah, so, and just going to say, do you, Bryce Young playing today, there's such a difference with them with obviously Williams and Mechie on the field. And both of them not being there, he looked, I don't know, like kind of lost out there at times tonight.
Well, you lose the guys that you've been playing with all year, and most teams, and I'm sure Alabama's included, they have their first team out there in practice all the time working, and the second string quarterback only works so much with the ones and the twos with the ones, and so the first string quarterback with the twos. So I think that was obvious. I think that was apparent. I don't want to take anything away from Georgia, but I just think that was apparent that he missed those guys.
Yeah. Certainly not to make an excuse or to take anything away from Georgia. It falls on Bryce Young ultimately. I was surprised because he played the whole year with such confidence and such decisiveness, such kind of swagger out there. And I don't know. It really, really felt like, I don't know, maybe he over-adjusted. And maybe these receivers, maybe this is a minor problem for Alabama next season. I just didn't see anybody really develop any of those next level playmakers, even in the Cincinnati game. The passing game wasn't exactly dynamic against them either. And like these offensive weapons aren't creating a lot of separation. Again, like Georgia's an elite defense and Cincinnati's a very good defense. So, level of competition, and they don't have the refs yet, but I don't know. It's kind of a minor point of concern, a potential point of concern for Alabama going forward that they haven't had in a while. They've been so deep.
Bryce Young is?
No, I'm talking about, the offensive weapons, the wide receivers going forward next year. None of them in the last couple games really showed out to me that they're really, at least yet, ready to be the guy, ready to take over.
You're right.
Ready to take over.
I'm pretty confident that they will be, but you're right. They showed that they weren't. I thought there were 2 enormous plays. One was to Corey Brooks, and it was the play before the interception that iced the game. He dropped the ball. Bryce Young threw a perfect pass, and down the right sideline, the Alabama would have been inside the 10-yard line. Maybe he would have scored a touchdown. So who knows what would have happened? He catches that ball. We might be sitting here saying Alabama won another national championship. And then the other one was Oh, shoot. I've got it down here. But anyway, whoever it was, he made a couple decent plays after that. I think he actually even scored a touchdown. He flat out dropped a brilliant throw from Bryce Young. I don't see. I guess
Was
I
it
just watch
Bolden?
these games a little
Played?
different than other people. I think we put way too much on these quarterbacks. I did Bryce Young play the best game of his life? No, but did he play I think it's a very simple thing. I think we should all go back out in the backyard and start throwing footballs to somebody about 20 yards away, and then have do that for about 5 or 6 throws, and then have like 4 people rush right at us and knock us on the ground while we're trying to throw the ball, and see how well that goes. I just Georgia's pass rush in this game versus the first meeting was they were 2 completely different defenses entirely.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and that's interesting too. Georgia's pass rush just kicked butt the entire season, except for that SEC championship game. And honestly, Alabama's O-line has been a sore spot of minor concern. So, I mean, I thought coming into the day that SEC championship performance was a bit of an outlier, but I wasn't expecting like that stark of a difference. I mean, Alabama's, they still got an offensive tackle in there who's going to be a top 5 pick. And they still got a bunch of other guys that are, good enough to play offensive line at Alabama. So, it was, but they got their butts whooped, and Young was definitely under pressure, and some of his struggles certainly weren't all his fault tonight. But you could definitely tell, like Mechie was his security blanket all year, and Williams was his home run hitter.
Yep.
And without them, I don't know. And I thought I'm going to say like one quick thing, and I'll open up the lines here. But that last drive, the last series when they got before Young threw that interception on 3rd down, I thought the play calling on those were just terrible. Like those decisions, they were moving the ball pretty well by mixing their route depths and all that. But then the last 3 possessions, I was watching it and I rewatched it again. On both 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down, all the routes, every single one of them were 15 yards downfield. And Georgia was basically in a cover 2 look, and none of it was ever going to be open. And I don't know. I mean, it was just terrible. I mean, I didn't really understand why they felt they just had to go for the jugular at that point in the game. So,
well, I appreciate the call, man.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, thank
Take
you.
care.
All right, folks. Good times tonight. Epic national championship game. And saw a comment in the chat about Michigan only lost by 23 and Alabama lost by 15. Okay. Stop it. Just don't even compare these 2 football games. That's why we put things into context here. We don't just say, oh, they lost by 15, they lost by 23. It's pretty much the same. Okay. Idiotic comment. Just stop it, please. Don't just, You either are clueless or you just obviously are pushing your narrative. And I get it. You're trying to push a narrative, make Michigan look better. But you know better than that. If you watch any football, you know that we saw 2 completely different games from what we saw 10 days ago to what we saw Georgia, Alabama tonight. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes. Hello, sir.
Oh, okay. So, hey there, Mark. How's it going?
I'm doing just fine. How you doing tonight?
Well, I just feeling. Oh my gosh, where I need to start? I just feeling like praise the Lord, my Lord. Thank you, Jesus, Lord, for the dogs.
You're happy. You're excited. So you're a Georgia fan. Who am I talking to first?
Well, here's the deal. My name is T. Contreras, and you saw the chat. That's me. That's brother, and that is me, brother BKL.
Well, I appreciate you calling, and you're a Georgia fan.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations from me, but congratulations to them because they deserve it. Because as you know, because I always watch all the teams between 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, between all the college football teams.
Yep.
Because that is exactly what the football team is all about. Because as you know, I am the Bulldogs fan of the Georgia Hurricanes and Army. I always support all the teams wherever I can do, because when I was watching these Georgia Bulldogs, these are the Georgia Bulldogs exactly how they play. They play all the bunch of yards, all the bunch of games, all the mentality. That's exactly how they play. Because when Kirby Smart is a teacher and the students are them, they know exactly how they play. Because when I was looking at it at Alabama, I was thinking is this the same Alabama from last time from Auburn's game in Alaska game? I was like, my God, they are the same team what Nick Saban does. So yeah, but they gonna say Georgia Bulldogs did a great job.
Well, I just want to say congratulations, and I appreciate you calling. And go crazy tonight. Be safe, but celebrate. Have a good time. Enjoy it.
Yeah, sorry about that, but thank you so much. But enjoy it on online and great job on your channel.
Thank you so much for that. Those are kind words. I appreciate that. Have a good night.
Yeah, no problem. Let's go, Dogs.
All right. Next up here at the Voice of College Football, who's on the line?
They're Marine 76. I have a more pertinent question, I believe, and I forgot to say congratulations, Bulldogs. I have to say that Stetson Bennett, schematically, he had the ability to really benefit from those slants because there was man-to-man coverage down low, and he had the opportunity to go up top. But one of the things that I noticed was that Bryce Young was not the beneficiary of those short passes that a previous caller, maybe a caller ago, noticed. And I think that was that's surprising to me because I consider Saban to be one of the best planners in college football. But I obviously I can't see the full field while I'm watching the actual game. One thing that I noticed is that NFL scouts are really putting a lot of they're seeing a lot of quality in Bryce Young. What I'm wondering is your perspective on how well he can develop over the years, because there was a lot of parity on the field today against the Georgia Bulldogs defense, and that's only going to get rougher in the NFL to come. What is your perspective on Bryce Young as a future, perhaps, NFL starter?
Well, I look at his body type, and that's a concern. I don't want to overplay that. I don't want to demean somebody who has overcome and continues to kind of buck the odds and the trends in terms of his body type and his thickness, is that he can only get so big. He would get beat up in the NFL, I think, right now. But we've seen other guys that get bigger and stronger to a certain extent, but you can only fill out your frame. In terms of
such as your Drew Brees, your Doug Flutie's, then?
Well, yeah, you're going back a ways with Doug Flutie in particular, but yeah, I'm trying to think. Lamar Jackson. Look at Lamar Jackson. He's never going to fill out to be Ben Roethlisberger, but he's a much thicker dude today than he was when he was a sophomore at Louisville. So he's done everything he can to get stronger, at least put up with a beating. So I think
so that he might be devalued. But do you believe that perhaps if he goes for his junior and his senior year, that he has the opportunity to grow with those progressions? Because I think he's exceptional for a sophomore. But of course, like you said, even scouts are going to say this guy is a little bit on the short side. Let's go with the big arm.
Yeah. I think that they're going to be a lot more forgiving today than they would have been 5 years ago. After Russell Wilson, after Baker Mayfield, after Kyler Murray, there seems to be, the standard for what they will accept is different than what it was 5 or 6 years ago. They're being disproven by their measurements of the guy's got to be 6'3" and he's got to weigh 230 and stand in the pocket. So that's been torn down to a certain
with all those
extent.
analytics then. I see so many what ifs, and maybe I'm wrong to say Ryan Leaf could have been a somebody, whereas like a Phillip Rivers ended up being a somebody. But maybe, Ryan Leaf wasn't ready for the NFL really. But maybe if this Bryce Young goes to the senior year, he might be more ready, even though the paycheck's been waiting.
Well, I think that one of the issues with Ryan Leaf was he was not mature enough to take on the NFL. That was part of his problem.
I see. Well, that about sums up anything interesting that I have to add, and I appreciate allowing me to call again.
Absolutely, that's kind of against the rules, but since you wanted to get back into it, no harm, no foul there. Have a good night. Appreciate you calling back, man.
All right, bye now.
All right. We had somebody else on the line. They just dropped off. So our phone lines are open. Let me get to everybody here. Raphael, go Dogs. I'm going to assume that everybody puts in a go Dogs or something like that is a Georgia fan. Long-suffering Georgia fan. How does it feel? TAW plays. How does it feel? Because again, I relate this to 2003 being a Buckeyes fan and finally making it happen for the first time in my lifetime basically the first time in my lifetime that I could actually watch and remember and take it in. And I could not go to sleep that night. I could not go to sleep. And if something went wrong at work 3 days later, it kind of just almost didn't matter. It was like I was still just on a high that, whatever goes wrong, it's a great thing. So congratulations to you, Georgia Bulldogs fans. You won me over tonight just in regards to me thinking, I had it in my head this entire 10 days leading into the championship game. Yeah, I'm kind of pulling for Georgia just because they've not won it. Alabama wins it all the time. So that's an obvious take on the situation. But emotionally, I didn't care. Could care less. Going into the game, could care less. It just kind of gradually happened as we got near halftime. Then I was like, yeah, I want Georgia to win this. I would like to see Georgia win. Even before the playoffs started, I thought, oh, man, what are my options here in terms of rooting? And I don't talk about rooting, as you guys know, very often on here. And I looked at Alabama, Cincinnati, Georgia, and Michigan. And sorry, Cincinnati fans, I automatically said, no chance. They're done. Okay, let's look at the other three. All right, we do have a call coming in here. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Kyle Pickett, thank you so much for the Super Chat contribution. You know that, man. Thank you so much, Kyle. Yeah, who's on the line? Hello?
Hey, is this NT8, man?
Hey, what's going on?
NT8, man.
Oh, we got Navy Thomas on the line. Look at this.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, man.
Hey,
this is a banner night.
I was checking you. I was checking for you during the entire game as I kept listening and watching it on Gamecast.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find you. So the only one I found was Damn it. Big Screen Pete.
Yeah, Pigskin Pete. Yeah, was he on? Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
just-
that's
Well, Navy Thomas, let me tell you something. I was on from noon until 7:30. I did a 7.5 hour live stream this afternoon for pregame. So I just wanted to sit and enjoy the game.
I wasn't going to go through the pregame deal, but anyway, Pigskin did a fantastic show
Nice.
while the game was going on, while I was watching it on Gamecast. And man, I just want to tell you, he was doing fantastic for his entire show.
Awesome.
So I wanted to spread that out about him because, you know, just like you always do when you're doing your stuff, he was doing that live show. That was really, really good. So
nice.
I just wanted to spread that and let everybody else. George from Florida was on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the only complaint I had about this whole thing is it was SEC versus SEC, and Pigskin didn't get the AAC or whatever it is, ACA. They didn't get into it. The Big Ten didn't get into it. The Big 12 didn't get into it. It was an SEC versus SEC. What a crock deal this was.
Yeah.
It should have been
the conference champions need to be there.
Conference championships that it should have been playing in it, not SEC versus SEC to end up with this. So I just wanted to share that with you, in my opinion of it. And yeah, I'm still up. It's midnight my time, so it's 1 o'clock your time. So.
Oh yeah, we're humming along here, trying to get the
So
job
I just wanted to cover that and tell everybody else. So.
Well, thanks, Navy Thomas.
I'll let you
Appreciate it.
roll with it.
Good to hear from you.
All right, my friend.
All right,
Goodbye.
man. Have a good one. Our guy, Navy Thomas. I say this all the time. We hear from Navy Thomas that Navy Thomas is, I believe, the longest running active member of our subscriber base. He is the guy that still is engaged, still here, still comments. Gave me a phone call tonight. That doesn't happen very often, but good to hear from Navy Thomas. He's been with us a long, long time. Thanks for calling. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Way to go, Georgia. Boomer Center.
Yeah. Okay. That's all we needed to hear from him. Short and sweet, and whatever that was. People commenting on modern college football. It's funny. Yeah, when people say modern college football, like if you're talking to historians and they talk about sports and they talk about, let's say, college football, they're going back to, let's say, World War II. Not 7 years ago. Showtime's got a top 5 for next year. Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas A&M. Well, we will release one of those soon. We will do it. I got myself dinner right after our live pregame, and I sat down and started working on the top 25. That actually makes sense. So be looking out for that tomorrow. And then I am going to present a top 1 through 130. We're going to rank everybody. Charisse, thank you for the congratulatory message for all the Bulldog fans. We got to pay honor and respect and congratulate and celebrate with everyone tonight. Paul, got my Georgia championship hat ordered. Go Dogs. Let's put him on the screen. Paul, good to hear from you. Hope you're still here. And yeah, I just I thought that was pretty awesome. It was a great game. It was a great game as well. Urban taking the other side of this, man. Let's stop the BS. Alabama did not have all the playmakers because of injuries. Let's not forget Chris Allen. Congrats, Georgia. You got your late Christmas gift. That's part of sports. You might be right, Urban. We will never know. We will never know if Alabama would have won that game with players. We don't know that. We can go through the annals of sports history and rewrite everything if we're going to go through injuries. You might be right. We don't know. We don't know. What we know is that with the players available, Georgia was better tonight. They were better in the fourth quarter. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, this is Steve calling. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I appreciate you calling. What's going on tonight?
I was actually a student at University of Georgia the last time they won the national championship. So
Wow.
It's taken a long time to get back around. But I'm more proud of this team than I was of the Herschel Walker team. Walker was so dominant on offense, and they had a really good defense back then too. But this team, they, with all the defense, accolades that they received, the offense was always like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? When they lost their best receivers at the beginning of the season, and these two freshmen come out, and Brock Bowers, who would have known Brock Bowers is going to be as good as he was? But the freshmen really pulled the offense during the entire season. And I mean, when you see a lot of the Alabama players say, we lost our receivers and everything, we lost ours at the very beginning. But I was really proud of the offense. They really pulled it. But let me tell you, that JT Daniels here in Georgia, the quarterback debate, I mean, it was vicious here. I mean, people just lost a lot of faith in Stetson. And it's because I think he wasn't really a good player. He just didn't have a lot of showmanship. And I think that kind of cost him. But he could hit the big passes when he needed to in some of those key games. But being a sports fan in the state of Georgia is just one of the most traumatic things you could possibly happen to you. The Falcons, we've seen them lose at the end. The Braves, we watched the Braves lose one World Series after another with the best pitching staff in the history of baseball. The Hawks, the best team they ever had was with the Celtic dynasty with Bird, all those guys. They beat us every year, the first round. And so it's just really hard being a sports fan in Georgia. So I think the funny thing, too, is ESPN has this series on the biggest upsets in college football history. I think Georgia has like 5 of the 10 games in that show on ESPN, which is just Georgia football all the way through. But they pull some great players. Georgia has fielded some great high school players. And, we always have some really good teams, but it's just so sad to see them at the end, especially the last championship game when they just throw Tua in there and he throws the bomb. And, we were in tears at the end of that game. But that's just kind of been sports in University of Georgia and sports in Georgia in general, pro and college.
Yeah, it was an amazing story, an amazing effort, and obviously they've been building toward this and have had the talent to do this the last several years, but it takes more than that. It takes the right guys and the right situation sometimes and the right chemistry, and it all came together.
Yep, great season. Very proud of the guys, and like I said, those freshmen really stepped up. I mean, it was just really something to watch the guys on offense that when we needed them the most, they really came through.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was a great
appreciate
game.
your show, and go Dogs.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, let's keep it rolling here at the Voice of College Football. Who's next up?
Hey, Marcus, George, how you doing tonight?
There he is. George, how do you take this?
Yeah. I'm ahead of my time. I want to talk about my garden gnome business. Are you going to back me now or what?
Your who business? What am I backing?
Garden gnome.
Gardening.
I make Stetson Bennett garden gnomes. They look just like Stetson Bennett. I've been doing it for years.
Hey, George, you produce them and we'll put them up here. I'll put them on display behind me on the shelf. We'll knock out some lousy football helmets from like Texas and Tennessee and other teams that aren't getting the job done.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark, listen, these aren't your ordinary garden gnomes. These things have class. Some of them are shooting a bird. Other ones are making like look like they're a weightlifter. I never have a problem with a raccoon or a squirrel or a fox or a bear. Coyotes, no problem. Opossums don't come on property. You just set one of these outside your back door and you're safe.
Oh, Stetson, you got to feel good for Stetson tonight, George.
I do. Mark, I too am vertically challenged. I'm only 5'6". I like little people, generally speaking.
I thought that was exciting. I got into it. I was charged up. I was more emotional about it than I thought. I was genuinely happy for Georgia and all the Georgia people we know.
Mark.
Yeah.
Do you know how you could take off and go viral? Tomorrow you wake up and you open your phone book. I know we don't have phone books. Google it. And look up garden ceramics. And call them up and say, oh, my God, my friend George told me to make Stetson Bennett yard gnomes. And say, you're going to be my channel sponsor. I get $40 off each gnome. They cost $195. Let's do this. Make your own sponsor. Stetson gets zero because it's a almost looks like Stetson Bennett yard gnome. You know? Yeah, we're giving him nothing.
Stetson gets nothing. He's going to make some money, maybe. I don't know about in the NFL, but shoot, there'll be so many.
Look, I'm a legal guy. I'm a legal guy. I understand contracts. You just write. It almost looks like Stetson Bennett dwarf, but it's not actually him. And then you're out of it. He can't get you. But this was not based on any actual living people. Any resemblance is coincidental. And then call it almost looks like Stetson Bennett the dwarf. What is Stetson Bennett going to claim his name as Stetson Bennett the dwarf? No. I've already worked through the legal details.
Yes. Sounds like a venture I would get involved in. Yes.
You can tell that I'm very virulent and feeling offended that the referees just did what they did. I mean, what can Georgia just do pass interference on every play and walk away laughing? I guess so.
Oh, come on.
I'll never accept it. I'll never give Georgia any credit.
Come on.
They only won because they threw the election and turned our country over to communism. Let's get back to football. I don't want to go there.
Yeah, I don't want you to go there.
Hey, listen, my 26 or 27-year-old kid sitting there, he's laughing because he knows I'm just playing. But isn't it great to be able to joke around about crazy shit in the news? Yeah. I'm blaming it all on Georgia. Goddamn Georgia. All right.
Yeah.
I still got a year of jokes. I know Stetson's coming back. My time is not up. I will be here next year. I will hound this guy forever.
Oh man, George. You cannot make fun of Georgia
the only reason,
anymore.
Hey, listen.
The 1980 jokes
The only reason Georgia won is because Georgia hasn't played anybody. Everybody had a down year. They should be embarrassed they won in the fashion they did, and they won this year.
Embarrassed. Yes. I'm sure that they want to give the trophy back immediately.
Hey, Georgia, Stetson's coming back next year. Cheer up. We get to go through this insane shit again.
I saw your boy Dan Mullen doing a little pregame on the SEC network.
I know. I'm never comfortable with seeing Dan Mullen on camera. Are you? I
Can't say
think
that
he's
it really
more of an
bothers
off-camera.
me, but
Yeah, he's more of an off-camera guy. He should be sitting in the office watching tape or something. He doesn't need to be on TV with his Nikes and his suit. I mean, at least get a pair of Italian loafers, you know?
all right, George. I should have never mentioned Dan Mullen. We're going to keep moving here. You and your boy have fun.
All right.
Maybe the
I
Gators.
want to say congratulations to the Georgia fans.
Okay.
I'm never going to admit I said it, but congratulations, Georgia fans.
All right, George.
Don't quote me on them.
We didn't.
All right. Bye.
You're on record. All right. No more 1980. You know, it seems like the fan base, it's not ironic. It's just strange. It's just odd. The fan base that hits Georgia fans with this, at least on my channel, more than any other fan base, you would think it would be Tennessee fans, Florida fans, Alabama fans. No, Miami fans. Anyway, welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
This is Terrell. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing well. Appreciate you calling. What's going on tonight?
Yep. First time call, I watched the game, but I was having a debate with a couple of my friends.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the better quarterback, C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young? And this is my first time calling in. Love the show. I'm gonna hang up and just see you again.
Well, thanks for the call. Appreciate you calling. Call back anytime.
Thanks, Mark.
Oh, my goodness. C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. That is a great comparison. You know, I'm going to side with Bryce Young. Not by much at all. And some of the throws that C.J. Stroud made in the Rose Bowl, I think the thing that I will say about C.J. Stroud is that I think he played his best football in the Rose Bowl. He made 4 or 5 throws in the Rose Bowl that I hadn't seen him make before. Throws that you would see Aaron Rodgers make on Sunday. And so if he continues to progress and makes those kind of throws on a fairly regular basis, they're not even the kind of throws that you would expect NFL quarterbacks to make on a regular basis. But if he can make those on a semi-regular basis, I still have to side with the mobility. And C.J. Stroud's not a non-athlete or not immobile by any stretch. He just refuses to run. As opposed to Bryce Young, who he didn't take off and run, I don't think at any point tonight, but he has in other games, and he is more mobile. He's just slightly more athletic than C.J. Stroud. It's not a huge comparison. He's not Michael Vick. So that's where I'm going there. Although I got to say, man, if I would see C.J. Stroud throw the ball like he did in the Rose Bowl for 2 or 3 consecutive games, and I would be able to say that's the C.J. Stroud that we're going to see every game or practically every game, and he's reached that level of consistency where he can hit his ceiling more often, then I would side towards C.J. Stroud. But I'm still going to go with Bryce Young at this point. It's close. Great question. All right. Thank you for calling the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, this is David, the truck driver. I called in a couple weeks ago.
David.
And, yeah, truck driver. And I'm a Georgia fan. And I just wanted to congratulate all my other Georgia fans listening to this. And that guy before talking politics, he's a wild one, ain't he?
Oh, yeah. George has been around here for a while.
Yeah.
George has made more comments on my channel than anybody, so I kind of let him loose a little bit because he's supported for a long time.
Yeah, well, if he thinks the refs let Georgia get away with things, I would have to ask him how he feels about that fumble Stetson Bennett made.
Exactly. Well, if that would have been anybody else,
a little questionable.
If that would have been anybody else, I would have argued the point. But I know George is just kind of all over the place on these things, so I just kind of let him go. Yeah.
Hey, George, It's called Adderall. Talk to your doctor. They'll get you set up. Oh man, but seriously, it feels good. It does feel good.
I bet.
No more 1980 jokes.
No.
Because and I hope it wasn't so much of a this season wasn't so much of a 2010 Auburn, 2019 LSU. You know what I mean? We didn't get this amazing quarterback, or out of the transfer portal, or we didn't hire some young shot from the Saints to come over here and start run our offense. It was Georgia doing what Georgia does and won the national championship. So I feel confident saying this, and I'm usually not confident on saying anything about college football because I'm a Georgia fan. Because hope is my enemy. I'll say this: I don't see Georgia going down the same road of like next year going, 6-6. One, we don't play in the West, right? So that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because the SEC East isn't as dominant as the SEC West. I think we can all agree upon we don't have an Ole Miss, a Texas A&M, and LSU, and an Alabama.
Sure.
We've got Florida and Georgia. Florida's going to have a first-year coach. Okay, not saying it, and I think that was a great hire. And I do like you were talking about what was Michael Vick, Virginia Tech? What was his dad's name from South Carolina? Frank Beamer. And this is who's South Carolina's head coach? Shane
Beamer.
That'll be his second year here, and I do think he's a good coach, and I do think he's recruiting well. And from what I understand, I think old boy from Oklahoma that got benched, he's going to South Carolina.
Yep.
So they're going to have talent there. But for the most part, you don't have just crazy schedule like the SEC West. So I do feel confident that Georgia will be able to go maybe 10-2 next year. I don't know if Stetson Bennett's coming back. What do you think about that? Do you think he just rides off on the sunset? This is his dream. He got it. Do you think he's going to go on?
Man, that's a great question.
Or do you think he's going to come back?
I have no idea what his aspirations are professionally, but oh my goodness.
Well, you don't think he can go to the NFL, can you? With that body size? I mean,
it doesn't appear so, but think about this. What quarterbacks would have been accepted into the NFL just 5 or 6 years ago? And now Kyler Murray's there, Lamar Jackson's there, Baker Mayfield. I know he's thicker, but they wouldn't even look at that size quarterback, Russell Wilson. And he can possibly get thicker. The standards for an NFL quarterback and what they expect out of the position are just different. But yeah, Stetson Bennett would be another drop down in size. Yes.
And not even just size, just talent level. I'm not saying, listen, I don't want to shit on Stetson Bennett because Lord have mercy, that boy's been through the ringer, the Georgia fan base.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone that loves Georgia football should forever just love Stetson Bennett, and I hope that they would. But yeah, let's be realistic about his future. He doesn't have to be a starting quarterback at the NFL. He can carry a clipboard and make like $800,000 a year.
That was the argument I made with my uncle. He's a Clemson fan. And he was like, well, you think he's going to come back? And I said, I'm pretty sure he could do pretty much anything within college football or the NFL, like you said, carrying a clipboard. I mean, the guy, he'd open up a restaurant tomorrow in Athens and be fucking fine for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
I say that jokingly, but I'm serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm interested in that. And, I'm almost at a loss for words. It feels, listen, I'm in my late 20s. I haven't seen this. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I haven't seen it. And it just feels great to actually finally get over the hump. Was it the way that I wanted it to happen? As a Georgia fan, if I'm going to be honest, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, I really wish Alabama was healthy. I do. I feel bad for, the wide receivers, Jameson and what's his other name? Gosh dang it. The guy that got hurt in the SEC. Yeah, I feel bad for them two young men. Yeah, it was Mechie. And I feel bad for him because, you know, that's one thing that you saw it on the sideline. You know what I mean? They were heartbroken. So I wish we could have beat a healthy Alabama, but a win's a win, baby. So I'm gonna say go Dogs and see y'all next year. I'll still listen to you all season long because there is no off season with you, sir. But I'll see the rest of the fan base next year. Y'all be good now.
Appreciate that, man. Have a good night. Congrats. All right, good stuff. Great to hear from Georgia people that are celebrating. And just think that those 4 numbers in a row will rarely be seen on college football channels like mine on YouTube anymore. 1980. It won't be there. Just you can't even bring it up. You can't. It's done. Stetson Bennett is Rudy. Well, if you really know the story of Rudy, there's not a real comparison there between a quarterback leading a team to a national championship and a guy that got on the field for like one play. But I get your point. All right, let's keep it rolling here. More calls coming in. I'm being amused by the chat as well. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Very much. Say very excited to be shot on the line. Trying to keep it down because it's 1:30 a.m. But what a win, man! What a 1980, 41 years.
Sir, unfortunately, even though you're celebrating and I'd like to keep you on the line, we can barely hear you. Hello? Hello? Oh. I heard, is it better now? So we did hear that. Keep going.
Yeah, so title. Can you hear this?
It's a bit rough, but we'll keep it on the line unless we can't hear you at all. We'll give you your minute here since Georgia won the national championship.
So, did you say this Georgia is the second best program behind Alabama right now?
I think I caught that. Is Georgia the second best program right now? Yeah, I think that would be a reasonable way to evaluate it right now. There's no reason, in a sense, to say it's not the best program. That could be argued as well. But yeah, generally, not putting too much stock or over evaluating one season. Yeah, number 2.
Not much. I'll just leave you with good night and go Dogs.
All right. Appreciate it. Congrats. All right. I guess I am finally catching up to the point in the chat where I was slamming my desk. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line? Hello?
Lomansky.
Hey, Lomansky. Yeah, how's it going, man?
Good. Appreciate all you do. Iowa fan, Big Ten fan. Remember Earl Bruce, so I'm feeding into your love of the Buckeyes. But like you, I watched the game, and halftime came, and I just like you, Mark, I started to root for the Bulldogs. And then Stetson had that bizarre play where I don't know if that guy knew if he was out of bounds, inbounds, fumble, pass, just the most bizarre play. And you just felt for the kid, you know, and I know a little bit of his history. And it's such a celebration of college football with all the changes and, you know, NIL. And here you got a kid that just loved the school and didn't quit and left and came back. And what a wonderful celebration of college football to have Stetson Bennett go out that way. It was almost a privilege to watch the game. So I'll just listen to your comment.
Well, I would agree with that, here is a guy that, you know, we live in this social media world, and I'm sure that he hears it from all directions. And that's kind of what is somewhat difficult in what I do is I want to give a fair and honest evaluation without slamming the players at the same time. So I try to balance that to a certain extent. But, I've even had exchanges on Twitter just in the last week or two with people just when I see them just so harshly and disrespectfully and crudely just attack this guy. And it's just ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. If you want to attack anyone, you would attack Kirby Smart for making the decision to play him. And I don't even think that was valid. And I'm glad that he was able to, and I don't even know if he looks at that, cares about it. It's got to affect anyone to a certain extent. He's got to know about it to some degree, and to get his validation. Not that he needed that as a human and as a football player, he shouldn't need that to validate him. But we all know, just from a winning standpoint, he did, and he got it.
You might find this interesting that I listened to the Hawk Out of the Storm and talking to Don Patterson before the national championship game. And Don kind of laid out, his knowledge and history, and knew Nick Saban, thought a lot of Nick Saban. And so I asked him the question, how's this game going to go? Who's favored? And Don talked about sometimes in football, it's what's between the ears, and that don't have to be a 5-star or a 3-star. It's how you react to situations, adversity. And at the post game, when Stetson talked about, I wasn't going to be the reason we lost this game. I just happened to think of Don Patterson, what he said. And, sometimes you got to have the it factor. And I thought that was really interesting comment post game that he replied, I was going to be the cause of losing this game. And that's a magical thing of an athlete that it's hard to measure till you see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that also tells us what was probably what he was processing over the last 37 days is that he probably was blaming himself for the SEC loss. If that's what was going through his mind during that sequence, then I got to think that he was blaming himself for the conference championship game.
Thanks for your time. I'll let you go.
Well, I appreciate it. You have a good night. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Georgia is the national champion of college football. They finished the season at 14-1 and avenged their loss to Alabama. And like many times in history in which a team not only is making a quest toward a professional championship or a collegiate championship, that there's a team or an organization in its way. So it makes it even sweeter once they reach that place, to a lesser degree that we saw it this year with Michigan finally beating Ohio State, winning the Big Ten championship, and they had to go through Ohio State. What also comes to mind first and foremost is the Red Sox had not won a World Series since 1918, lost in the most brutal way imaginable in 2003 to the Yankees. And for the Red Sox, had the Yankees been out of the way that year, had they not been a good team and just not made the playoffs, and the Red Sox would have finally won a World Series, yes, that would have been sweet. They would have won the World Series. But to do it in the manner in which they did, going through the Yankees, made it even better, much sweeter. Similarly, this year, think about if Texas A&M, after they beat Alabama, let's say if Alabama would have lost another game, and let's say somebody else would have gone to the SEC championship game, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Georgia would have gone through to win the national championship, but not beaten Alabama. Yes, they would have their national championship. It would count. It would be just as valid, but this was the way to do it. They got to slay the dragon. Next up here at the Voice of College Football, who's on the line?
Yes. This is 2021 college football national champion YouTuber Uncle Lou here.
Oh, man. Good to hear from this guy.
Yep. And I just have an announcement to make. Nobody can tell me anything for 365 days. Nothing.
I don't think they can tell you anything after that. Lou, we want to hear from you, not from me, but I do want to take about 15 seconds to say congratulations, to say that I started this game by not having any stake in this game. Just, I got to watch the two best teams in the country play. I'm just going to evaluate the game, analyze the game. But as it built, especially starting the second half, and as the game became more and more fervent, exciting, big plays, and it just started to, the momentum just started to run, and it became an epic game. I got caught up in the Georgia story, and to see you guys win a national championship, I was truly, I don't know the last time I've been happy for a team other than one of my teams win a championship, just because of you, because of other people that I know that are Georgia football fans, and also just because Kirby Smart has busted his ass to build this program. There's no doubt about that. He has busted his tail. He's done it seemingly the right way. Stetson Bennett has taken more crap than any collegiate athlete I can think of. And for them to pull through and to get it done, and I don't know if you heard the comment I just made, to be able to get this done and go through Bama has to be super sweet for you.
Yeah, I have to say that's probably something I was wrong about that I didn't realize until the game ended, because I've been asked that 100 times. Aren't you glad you're playing Bama? Like, you wouldn't want it to be any other team. And I kept saying, I don't care who it is. It's been so long since Georgia won the title. I don't care who we beat to get it. But after the game ended, I think I did realize beating Alabama was the best way, I think, to win it. Now, I don't think it would have taken anything away from the way I'm feeling, or Georgia fans in general are feeling right now, if the win would have came against someone else. But there would have been that, well, but you didn't beat Bama, crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, let's say Bama would have been 8-4 this year and not even made the SEC title game, then maybe it wouldn't have been a big deal. But because they beat us in the SEC title game, I think that made it, never mind 2017, 2018, 2020, never mind all the other times they beat us. I think because they beat us this year, it made it that much more important that we beat them to win it all at the end.
Absolutely.
And I didn't think that would matter, but as soon as the game ended, I was glad it was Bama.
I bet.
Yeah. Great game. I mean, you talk about people being hard on Stetson. I mean, I'm in the front of that line. I haven't somehow changed my mind about Stetson Bennett. I mean, I think Stetson Bennett would be 100-0 if the Georgia defense held everybody they played to under 20 points.
Yeah.
That's never, I don't think that's anyone's concern when it comes to quarterback play. Like, oh man, I hope we can beat somebody 17-10. Georgia's got a lot of talent. My question with Stetson Bennett has always been, what if the defense doesn't hold somebody under 20? What if they score 30 or like last time 41 or whatever? You got to give Stetson credit though. When he fumbled and Alabama went in and scored and took the lead, he had played so bad. I mean, not just that fumble. I don't know how many possessions Georgia had. Let's say it was 15. The first 13 were horrendous. I mean, they were horrible. And then the fumble. And for him to come back from that, I mean, he could have just folded up right then and, this is it. I blew it. I fumbled. They scored. They're winning. Here we go again. Game's over. But then he came out on the next two drives and played great and won the game, and then the pick six at the end. And, so it is a great story. I mean, you got to give him credit. I made the comment earlier, when Georgia was on offense, Stetson Bennett was the least talented player on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't think that way. you know? And I mean, I wish everybody had the heart and the mindset that a Stetson Bennett has.
Yeah.
You know, I wish every 5-star had that same mindset. You know, that can't be denied. There's nothing I can't do. That kind of mentality.
Sure.
You got to give him credit. I mean, he's going to go down in history at UGA as a national title winning quarterback. And we'll see what happens going forward. I think he should ride off into the sunset, but we'll see what happens.
Should. Was it going through your mind, considering what you've had to endure 2012, 17, 18, etc.? Was it going through your mind when Bryce Young, that was the first series of the game, right? The Jordan Davis hit on Bryce Young. Yeah. That scoop and score. What would have been a scoop and score. And versus what Stetson Bennett, two quarterbacks that are like, I got to imagine if you're in that situation, you got some crazy freak athlete who's got you wrapped up and you're just trying to do anything you can to get rid of the ball. Basically, they did the same thing. Just Bryce Young was more fortunate to pretty much spike the ball into the dirt versus what Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
I was almost comparing those plays in the moment, and then the Alabama player, whether he meant to do it or just got lucky, grabbing the ball before he goes out of bounds. I'm just thinking, I can imagine what's going through your head. I'm just thinking, this is just quintessential Alabama, Georgia. They do the same things on defense, but Alabama's getting lucky to be able to get and the correct calls were made, but just that they're benefiting. Well, Georgia got, ripped off of their TD.
Yeah, like you said, it's not that it's the wrong call. It's just like, man, it just seems like the bounces go Alabama's way. Going back to the SEC title game, Alabama, I think it was Bryce Young, had like a 20-yard run where he fumbled, and the ball was on the ground for like what seemed like 10 seconds, and Georgia players were playing hot potato with it, and it falls in Bryce Young's lap or whoever it was, and you're just like, man, can some of these things just bounce Georgia's way? Because as a Georgia fan, we have the mindset going up against Bama. Okay, we need things to go our way. We need to be the one that gets the special teams break, which we got with a blocked field goal. We need to be the team that gets the weird turnover, which Alabama got with the defender. I think didn't even know it was a fumble, because he was kind of nonchalant over on the sideline, wasn't hurrying or anything like that. It's just kind of the ball bounced right to him, so he grabbed it. It's almost, I think he thought it was an incomplete pass too.
Mm-hmm.
But he grabbed it just in time and got his foot barely down on accident, and there you go. It's Alabama's ball, and it's just like, God, here we go. We're going to find a way to lose it again.
How many people have
And Georgia's offensive line in the second half, I mean, we couldn't run the ball at all.
Yeah.
We could, in the first half, second half, fourth quarter, especially blowing Alabama off the line. I mean, James Cook ended up with like 7 carries for 70 yards, something like that. I mean, it was a great game.
Hey, Lou,
a great game.
If I've taken a zillion comments in the last month about this, you've probably taken, 1,000 times more than this. How many people have trashed your defense since the SEC championship game to say, oh, see, you didn't play anybody and you guys were overrated and all that. And look, tonight they gave up nothing but field goals and a 15-yard touchdown drive that maybe shouldn't have even happened.
And I never bought into that. I mean, Georgia's defense, for whatever reason, had a really bad game in the SEC title game. Not much different than Alabama's offense had a really bad game against Auburn the week before the SEC title game. That didn't mean that Alabama's offense was terrible. They just had a really bad game against Auburn. And Georgia's defense had a really bad game against Alabama in the SEC title game. I was way more confident that the defense would play way better the second time than I was that somehow Stetson Bennett was going to come out and throw for 450 yards and win the game 45-40. I knew the defense would play a lot better. My question was just, can Stetson generate enough offense and enough points to win, whatever that number is going to end up being? And because we were able to hold them to field goals and bend not break type of thing, they were able to get it done.
Yeah, wow. You're going to have fun
it's a great
with this
day to
one,
be a
I'm
dog,
sure.
Mark.
I bet.
What an off season. What an off season it's going to be on YouTube. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Mark, I love you, brother. You're one of my favorite people on here.
You as well, man.
You do a great job.
And I was thinking of you tonight watching this game.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm gonna soak this one in for a while because I'm not delusional. I do not expect Georgia to win 6 of the next 12 national titles. You know, people always say Georgia thinks they're Alabama. I don't think we're Alabama. Georgia's going to have a step back next year. The top 15 players on our defense are gone. Top 2 running backs gone. George Pickens gone. A couple of linemen gone. Don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Georgia's going to take a step back next year. And, do I want to go another 40 years without winning a national title? No, but I'm not delusional. I don't think Georgia's winning half the national titles for the next 12 years like Alabama's done the last 12. I'm happy to win the one right now. Yeah. And we'll see where it goes from here. But, Mark, I love you, buddy. I'll talk to you again real soon.
I appreciate it so much. Thanks so much for calling, man. The incomparable Uncle Lou. And I got to thank everybody listening to me right now knows Uncle Lou's channel right here on YouTube. But if you don't, you are in for a good time. So check it out. Uncle Lou right here on YouTube. And I'm so glad that he called us. That was great. And shoot, I was in the standard media for 11 years myself. So I probably asked this kind of question myself, although I was never in a national championship or Super Bowl championship locker room, but a lot of other locker rooms. But I hate when these guys are asked, the players and coaches, when they're asked, what about next year? Can you win it again next year? I'd be thinking, you know what? Good Lord, I just busted my tail for 4 hours. Didn't you just watch what we went through? And we lift weights every day. We run, we puke our guts out. We do all this stuff. Can you just let it rest for a day? Can we just bask in this celebration right now? Can you just let us be for one day? So before I take this next phone call, our guy from Get Business Credit, thank you so much for that, Josh Van Hoen over on Business Credit. Get Business Credit. It's a channel right here on YouTube. If you got a small business or you want to launch a small business, you've always had the dream of a small business, head on over to Get Business Credit and he will hook you up with financing. Even if you don't believe you've got the financing personally or the credit or don't want to give up your social security number, no problem. Josh is your guy. Yes, Josh, be in touch soon. We appreciate you stopping by, and thank you so much for the contribution there, Josh. Again, it's Get Business Credit right here on YouTube. All right, let's take our next call. Right here at the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark. It's Alex from Boone calling again.
Hey, wait, calling again?
I've called in before in past shows.
Oh, but not tonight.
No, not tonight.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I know.
Thank you. How you doing tonight?
Congratulate. I'm doing great.
Good.
And the Georgia Bulldogs. I wanted to talk Georgia defense. As a Michigan fan, it made me feel a lot better to see Alabama have the same struggles. But you hear on this and other pages that Alabama's fans are complaining, injuries cost us that. We would have won without injuries. Do you think Williams and Mechie being out really impacted this game that much? Or was Georgia's defense just good?
I hate to take credit away from a victory of this magnitude. Two best wide receivers on the team. And it's not a talent thing. It's not so much a talent thing. And Kirk Herbstreit outlined this several times when he just saw Bryce Young and the receivers not necessarily in sync. And I think that was pretty obvious. They don't practice together. The ones practice with the ones and the twos practice with the twos. And so it's difficult to in the moment, but it's part of football. But we can only conjecture what the impact was. And I would be the last person on earth to say, if Alabama had Jamison Williams and John Mechie, they would have won the game. I don't play that game. I don't do it because we don't know. But it's reasonable to think that they are the starting receivers. And if you watch Alabama football, in particular, that John Mechie was the reliable, the dependable one, and Jameson Williams took the top off the defense on a regular basis. He was irreplaceable in that Alabama offense.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I would definitely have to agree about that, especially because you could just see Bryce Young was putting those passes on a platter, and they were very odd drops. What do you think about next year, JT Daniels versus Stetson Bennett? Do you think Stetson has done enough to earn the spot if he comes back?
It's a great question, because every coach has a different philosophy on this. They can either line them up and say, hey, it's a new season. We have two talented players. We have two players that have proven to some degree that they can play the position. So not just those two, but the entire, we're talking about a 5-star in Brock Vandergriff as well. And Gunnar Stockton has been signed. Carson Beck, two of these guys at least are leaving the program. I don't think there's any question about that. At least two of those 5 are gone. So they're just going to leave. That's why Kirby Smart makes $8 million a year. It's to decide whether he wants to lead a program that says Stetson Bennett earned the starting job. He won a national championship and played well in the national championship game, relatively well. And so he earned it, and he's the guy. Or whether he wants to say, hey, the reason we got to the mountaintop was by competing for starting jobs at every position.
Yep. And I really don't agree with it.
I would
Go ahead,
I would tend to play it the second way. I would tend to be the coach that would say, hey, we cherish what we accomplished in 2021, and we thank Stetson Bennett for that. Absolutely. But he's going to have to go out and earn his job. And I'm going to select the best quarterback in August of 2022 to be the quarterback for that season.
Yeah. And I think I've heard some people comparing this situation to like Jake Fromm and Justin Fields and not wanting to lose Justin Fields. It's weird how Stetson Bennett on paper should be nowhere near as good as Jake Fromm on all his measurables, but I think he's much superior. So it'll be interesting to follow that. Thanks for having my call, and have a great night, Mark.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate the call. Have a good night. All right, let's keep it rolling here at the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark, I'm calling from my son. It's not my phone call. It's his. He's sitting right here. Say hi, Ben. Hi, Ben. See? Anyway, this is what he wanted to know. How many points did Georgia score?
Wait, whoa. George.
Come on, go along.
George,
go
you know
along
I
with
love
it.
you.
They scored 33
Okay,
points.
so we're setting this up for some kind of knuckleheaded joke. Okay,
Oh,
33.
absolutely.
Here we go.
I
33.
waited like 30 minutes. Georgia scored 33 points, right?
Yes.
What is the number of their quarterback? 13, right?
13. Yes.
So, that's how many moon cycles in the year? In the moon cycles of the year, in the Bible story, and God and Satan, all that, it says a third of the angels were thrown to the earth. It was 33 and a third of them. And the score ends up 33, and the quarterback's name was 13. Hey, I'm going to look into this and report back. I think I'm onto something, Mark.
Georgia.
It's going to be like, what's that guy's name, Tom? We're going to do a Da Vinci Code with you on this.
You do that, George. Your mind works like no other. You keep working on that.
Hey, listen.
Yes.
Even Georgia fans love me, so I'm okay. I'm cool.
Good night, George.
Love you.
Oh, man. George. Breaking the rule, calling twice tonight, and then he calls in with that. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hi, I'm Bryson from Chattanooga.
Hey, Bryson. How you doing?
I am absolutely in a state of euphoria.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad
I had an
you're
amazing
calling
night.
us.
Yeah, I actually just had a short little story I wanted to share. So, back in 1980, when Herschel Walker took the Georgia Bulldogs to the national championship, my dad was on the field of that game. And this year, right before Christmas, he had a stroke, and we didn't know if we were going to still have him around for this year. And I asked, and I was like, we didn't know. So the one thing I wanted for Christmas was to watch the Georgia Bulldogs win a national championship with my dad. And I was just so thankful that I got to do that tonight. And then the way that it happened, it was just, it is completely surreal.
Wow.
I was in the fetal position on the floor crying, and my dad's blood pressure went up a lot. We checked it right after we won the game. But hopefully he'll start to recover and we can continue to try to figure out what's wrong. But anyways, this whole Stetson Bennett thing has just been wild. I was a doubter from day one. And the whole season I was just screaming, put JT Daniels in. He's going to be better. And I think he proved a lot of people wrong tonight. Not in the most, exaggerated way, but he definitely did what he had to do to get us over the line. And a lot of people are kind of down on the rest of our team, looking forward to next year, saying that we're probably not going to be as good. But I have some hope. We have some real freshman talent in there, in guys like Keely Ringo, and I'm excited.
Well, regardless of what happens next year, I certainly would bask in what's going on right now and just bask in your championship. And I hope and pray. And when I say pray, I mean that literally will be for your father there. So I hope everything's good with him. And I'm glad that he got to experience this national championship with you. So yes, just congratulations. And this is far from over. Now, I am not predicting any more national championships for Georgia, but I'm not discounting them in any such way. This doesn't need to end. Now, to make it all the way there, I would be shocked if they are not in serious contention for national championships in the next few years, because it's obvious they're loaded. Kirby Smart has busted his tail to build what is arguably the best football program in the country. And I think that they have a rightful place to say that. I would still give Alabama the nod for the obvious longevity of it, but they're going to be in the hunt year in, year out. Now, to actually close the deal takes I don't want to say a little bit of luck, but you got to have other things come together besides just the talent. And we've seen other situations. I look at Ohio State as being one several years ago that you think they're going to win a bunch of national championships and they just win the one, or Florida State and others. So I don't know if they'll win anymore, but hey, if somebody held a gun to my head right now, I'm going the route of Georgia winning more national championships rather than this being the end of the line. But even if it is, cherish this one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I just noticed, which has kind of been a trend in our program for the last, basically since I've been alive, is that we've had coaches and players that have gotten right to the end and then just couldn't get over the hump. That was something that Mark Richt definitely did, and I think this was Kirby's proverbial hump that he had to get over, and I think he got over it. And I think it's going to be a great stepping stool into the next chapter for the program. Anyways, good night. Go Dogs. Thanks for talking to me.
Appreciate that so much. Thank you. I would like to get to these super chats. Kyle, thank you so much for that. Another super chat coming in from Kyle. You know we love you, Kyle. Thank you so much for being here. And I got to tell you, Kyle, I've dipped into the crypto market to a certain extent. So maybe in addition to the super chats, you could give me a few wink. You could give me a few tips. Let's work on that, Kyle. Get business credit. Josh, thank you so much for being here. And yes, I did not. I'm way behind in the chat as usual, because I really don't like moving ahead to where I am in the chat. because then I skip like 1,000 comments that way. So I'm always behind. So I was not in any way avoiding anybody or not wanting to honor these super chats, because we always, more than anything, want to honor the super chats coming in. So I'm finally almost catching up here. So Josh, get business credit. Back to my question. CJ being so young, do you agree his next few years could be a rare quarterback once he finds his ground? Well, I think the display, as I stated a few minutes ago in the Rose Bowl, was one of the better quarterbacking shows you're going to see in regards to not the yardage, throw the statistics away. They were the result of the passes he was throwing, which were NFL caliber throws with the game on the line. So it was mighty impressive, and he gets better and better. And what they talked about, and we've heard from various sources, is that with him, it's more about that he's become a leader. He's growing into himself. He's kind of a sensitive kid. And I say that not in a derogatory kind of way, but not necessarily that being the best trait on the football field is being a leader of the team and worrying a little bit too much about what others think. And he's getting past that, and therefore he's becoming a much more confident, thick-skinned individual, in addition to the physical talent that, again, was on display in the Rose Bowl unlike any other game that he's played. And not just looking at the stats, looking at the throws. All right. I believe we've got another super chat to pick up. I'll see how many folks are on the line, and we will. Kyle, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it so much. And again, Kyle, let's get together on the crypto sometime. Let's do that. Let's see. Where are we? Let me pick up this other super chat before we get to the next call. Let me see if I can find it. Uncle Rico, appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much for that. Kyle Pickett is guilt-tripping people for not donating enough. So here is 10. Now my dog won't have food for the week. Go dogs. Uncle Rico, be kind to your dogs. Be good to your dogs. We don't want anything to happen to those precious dogs of yours. Would like to know what kind of dogs you have. My son is a dog trainer, and he's a good one. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Jerry W.
Jerry.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, I just got done watching the game like you did, and just on a real high. I thought it was a really good game. I'm a Kentucky fan. I love the SEC. So I really didn't care who won. I just wanted to see a good game. And I think it was a very good game. And I want to congratulate the Georgia Bulldogs. There's a lot of people in the chat making excuses and, criticizing, being a sore loser. And I've been typing in the chat that, hey, don't be the prodigal son brother. Nobody likes that guy. So don't be him when your team loses, and you can just be gracious and congratulate the other team. And, we'll see you next year. See what happens then. But you have to understand that school that beat you, they have really passionate fans about their team, just like we do about our team. So be happy for them when they win and congratulate them.
Well stated. That's the spirit of college football. We get down here, and of course, you're going to go after your rival and other teams, and you're going to defend your team and go after their teams, and we have fun with that. But when it all comes down to it, hey, they're just out there playing ball, and we're just people having a good time.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk to you about, Mark, is it's kind of a dilemma going on with the new national champion, with the University of Georgia. If they go after Caleb Williams, then most likely the next year in the 2023 class, Arch Manning is going to commit to Alabama. So if they get Caleb Williams and they lose any chance of getting Arch Manning, and Arch Manning, he is saying that the schools that he enjoyed visiting the most were Georgia and Alabama. So I think if Williams goes to Georgia, you can pretty well expect Arch Manning to sign with Alabama. And that may be the one reason you haven't heard hardly anything coming out of the University of Georgia about pursuing Caleb Williams.
Well, if everything you're stating is accurate, then if I'm Kirby Smart, I'm good with my quarterback room right now. I'm probably going to lose 2 of the 5, but I'm still good with that quarterback room because it's as good as any in the country. And I'd rather have Arch Manning sign in 2023 than have Caleb Williams now.
Okay. Is that because you think Arch is that good, or you just don't think Caleb is that good?
Well, I think Caleb Williams is a tremendous player, and he's proven to be good to a certain extent. I think the ceiling on Arch Manning is greater from what I understand. I've not watched him play, but I'm just going by what other people say about him, people that know football. And also that I just think that their quarterback room's in a place that they don't need to continue to. It seems ridiculous because my advice to most programs is to stockpile the quarterback room because you're going to lose a few of them. So the strategy that you've got to have at this point is to stockpile them. But for Georgia, my goodness, it's not needed. It's not necessary. I don't know if he's going to be the best quarterback on their team. I don't think he will be.
So you think Stetson Bennett is the guy?
Well, they are going to be just as good. They're going to be just as talented next year as they are this year. I'd have to go through and see who they're going to lose to the NFL draft and try to make that assessment of how good they're going to be. But, Stetson Bennett proved it this year. Now he's got supreme confidence. Not that he didn't have it before. So he's proven he can win a national championship with the right situation. I'm not saying he can carry a team to a national championship. He's not Cam Newton, but this is the difference in my opinion between assessing the quarterback situation for any team today versus before NIL is that, in the transfer portal, is that a coaching staff would have an idea of what their plan was for the next, let's say, 3 years, because they'd say, okay, our sophomore starting quarterback just had a really good season. We project he's going to be around for at least another year, if not 2 years, and he's the starter for the next year or two. He may be good enough to leave early for the NFL draft. Okay, we're good there. Our backup just finished up his redshirt freshman year. He's developing really well. We got him in line to start 2 years from now, and then we got a third, and they could plan. But the way things are happening now with guys jumping in the transfer portal, the best plan is just to grab as many talented players as you can and just assume that if you over recruit, that a couple are going to leave, but that's okay because you got 2 or 3 other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched the game on ESPN when Vandergrift played against Gunnar Stockton.
Yep.
And those Stockton is a year younger than Vandergrift. They beat Stockton's team. Both quarterbacks played well in that high school game last year. And I thought Vandergrift looked good in the Georgia spring game when he got to play a little bit.
Yep.
I don't think any of them are up to the level of Caleb Williams, though.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I haven't seen him play. I have not seen him play. I've seen Caleb Williams play.
I've also heard that Caleb Williams and some other quarterbacks are afraid to go to Georgia because of the way that they did Justin Fields.
Yeah.
That is still working against Georgia when it comes to getting elite quarterbacks.
Well, it hasn't been an issue in getting a couple 5-stars that are in the room right now. Well, I appreciate the call, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night. All right. We got 2 folks on the line. Let's take these 2 calls, and then I'm going to shut it down for the night. Why don't we do that? Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, this is Jim Gallagher.
Hey, Jim.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm going to keep this short so you can go ahead and get off the air and go get some rest. I thought we watched a really, really good football game tonight for 3 quarters. And I'm going to say something I haven't heard anyone else say so far. I think about at the 10-minute mark of the last quarter, it was pretty apparent to me that the Georgia offensive line had our D line whipped, physically whipped.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the turning point in the game when the Georgia running backs started picking up 5, 6, 7 yards a clip. That meant that our D line was just wore out. And they whipped us physically. And really, throughout the game, it was tight all the way on both sides of the ball until that point in the game. And I want to congratulate the Georgia Bulldogs and Kirby Smart on having the win tonight. And I want to say that the Georgia Bulldogs have a great football team. And I'm not ashamed or embarrassed about anything Alabama did because those kids played their hearts out tonight and they just came up a little short.
Well stated, sir. Appreciate the call.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good night. All right. I guess we'll take 2 more calls here at the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark, it's Derek. Say hi, Derek. Anyway, he just got over. We watched the game. But why don't we just let these young men play? What's up with all the penalties and, little decisions about what just happened? I mean, this is getting ridiculous, isn't it?
So
Can't we just let the guys play a game of football? Well, the whole referee thing is getting a little ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, sometimes you can grab the guy.
Really? Now, come on. Unfortunately, that call got cut off. I don't know what happened there. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line?
Hey, Mark, it's Michael. How you doing, sir?
Michael, what's going on?
Not much. Just left Lucas Oil Stadium a few minutes ago. Just getting something to drink and eat before I head back home to West Lafayette.
Okay. Yeah. So how'd it go for
Yeah.
you tonight? So just to let everybody hang on just a second, Michael, just to let everybody know what Michael's talking about here. So Michael worked as a freelancer for ESPN at the game in Indianapolis tonight. So it's a little bit loud behind you, Michael, but
yeah.
so how'd it go tonight?
Can you hear me?
Yes. How'd it go?
It was good. Good. It was good. And I was thinking, I was surprised that nobody scored a touchdown in the first half. It was a defensive struggle. Then I guess on that long, when they had that, White had that long 67-yard run, it's when things started going. And I'm surprised it took so long. But I got to give it some credit for Stetson Bennett having a hell of a game, back-to-back games.
Yes, he certainly did.
But what's that going to do next year for him in JT Daniels?
What is that going to do for him?
Yeah, is he going to stay or is one of them going to transfer?
I have no idea what he's going to do. I couldn't tell you. I don't know what his aspirations are. I don't know what he believes is his potential toward the next level. Michael, you got plenty of noise on the line. I know a lot's going on. We're going to let you go. Call back some other time. Appreciate it.
Are you going to be on tomorrow?
We'll be on soon. Yes.
All right. Talk to you then, Mark.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Yep. Bye.
All right. I think we have about wrapped it up for the night, but we got Get Business Credits. Send us in a super sticker. Appreciate that. And also said, I'm at max daily super chat limit. Not sure this will even go through, but tomorrow or Wednesday, let's get on a Google Meet. Let's do it. Let me know, Josh. Just hit me up. Don't know if you've got my phone number, but you've got my email. So hit me up, Josh, and we will get together. Definitely. Thank you for that. Shoot. I've got a top 25 coming that actually makes sense. So we've got our final top 25 coming out tomorrow. And then besides that, Miami at 115. Man, I got a request from, I think it was Willie, who said you should put up a graphic that has all your live shows. And so we will start getting that on the line for everyone. So tomorrow, that means here we go. That's what we got going tomorrow. 1:15 Eastern Time on the Miami channel. Hurricanes live. 5:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 there in Iowa City. Hawkeyes live on the Iowa channel. And then at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on the Nebraska channel, Huskers live right here, the voice of college football. So probably not a call-in show tomorrow. I've got to release my top 25. That actually makes sense. And I'm going to release my 1 through 130 rankings. I'm going to rank every team in college football 1 through 130. And then we've got a ton of content that is coming your way to set you up for the offseason and for 2022. All right. Appreciate everybody being here again. Please join our shows down below. They're a good time as well. They are not just, they are just Miami, Iowa, and Nebraska shows, but we welcome in college football fans from all over. So we have all fan bases represented on those shows. So those shows, just for you people that aren't necessarily aware and haven't been here for long, those shows are not here on the main channel. We've got 25 team channels here at the Voice of College Football. So we've got a Miami channel, Iowa, and Nebraska. So please join us there. Dave says it best here to close us out. Go Dogs. Georgia and Georgia fans, it's your night. It's your season. The season belongs to you. You are the best team in college football. You were the best team in college football from opening night all the way through. You took a shot. You had a bump in the road. You avenged the loss convincingly in the fourth quarter. congratulations to you and Georgia. 1980, let it never be mentioned again, unless we're talking about Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan. Georgia fans, celebrate, embrace it, cherish it, and let it bask over you. And we will see you next time here at the Voice of College Football. And I so appreciate, I hope all of you know it, not just the financial contributions, but everybody who commented, who liked, who called in. Please hit the like button. It means so much to the YouTube analytics. They like to see that like button smashed over and over and over and over and over and over. So please do that on your way out and let people know that we're here at the Voice of College Football. Now that we're in the off season, we don't stop. We don't take a break. We're here all the time talking college football with you. So we will see you next time.